Hello, I'm Mrs. Hebert, and today we're talking about monochromatic as a color scheme, which means one color and tints and shades of that color. So I have my palette set up with my name and class color on it, with some white, black, and orange because that's the base color that I've selected for this painting. You may only have for this painting those three paints on your palette, or else it wouldn't be a monochromatic painting. When you're mixing tints and shades, you want to pay attention to starting with the lighter color. The light is the right way to start. So I'm going to mix a tint, which is the color plus white, and since white is lighter than orange or any color, even yellow, I'm going to start with white and slowly add to that a little bit of orange. So as I'm adding, I can create a range of values, lights and darks. Here's just a little bit of orange, and if I add more, I'm going to get a little bit of a darker tint. In this project, I want you to have at least 5 different values. Okay, so we have a couple different varieties there. I have these all mixed up on my palette. I could make even a really super light one. I like to keep a paper towel nearby so I can dab. So there's still even a little bit of orange left in my brush, tiniest bit. And this is just ever so slightly different. So now I have a whole range of tints, ranging from light to up back to orange. And I would encourage you to use some plain white as a detail in your painting too. And some plain black. So now I'm starting to mix shades. So remember, it's always better to start with lighter color. So in this case, black is very dark. You're going to slowly add black to the orange. I'm going to move my orange over here. I'm going to move some orange over here so I can do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to start by having a color that's pretty close to orange. So I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of black to that. And very quickly, black will contaminate or change the orange, and I get this almost brownish shade. And then over here I'm going to add a little bit more. So a couple different. What happens if I barely add any black at all to the orange? My paintbrush is still contaminated, and you probably remember this from painting in the past, that even a dirty paintbrush can interfere with the way a color looks. So this is pretty close to orange, but not quite. So now I have a range of values of tints, color mixed with white, of shades, the color mixed with black, and I'm even going to mix some tones. A tone is a color mixed with gray. So I'm going to start with white and add a little bit of black. So now I have a gray, but to that gray, I'm going to add a little bit of orange. And you'll see it's just a little bit of a different color. A tone. So now I'm going to create, with my tints and shades and tones, a painting inspired by a monochromatic quilt. Quilts have a lot of repetition and unity of patterns and shapes. think about repeating shapes, and I'll teach you a few different techniques that you can use while you're painting to enhance your design. You might start off with a pattern and then fold your paper to print it on the other side so that you have some symmetry. That is a pattern repeating that is a mirror image. You could have symmetry this way or symmetry this way or both. And oftentimes quilts will show a symmetrical design, something that's the same on both sides. So if I start off my design with, I'm going to use something dark here that you can really see as I'm printing. If I started off with a shape that repeated here, a circular curve, and bring it right into the middle. Okay, this is going to be my line of symmetry, and then I got to work pretty quickly, because if that dries, I won't be able to get something that's symmetrical. I'm going to press, 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 and when I open it up, I have something that I can work with that's symmetrical. Now, I'm thinking that I might want to continue and have some symmetry going in this other direction. I've started with a circular curve shape, so I'm going to repeat those same types of designs. You could start with a square or a triangle or some other design that you want to repeat, but the more you have a simple, consistent repetition of shape, the more unified your piece is going to turn out. So curve over here, over here, and over here, over here. That looks kind of like an oval. And I'm going to print it again this way. So within that, when I open it back up, so within that there's a lot of variety, but it's a good groundwork to work into. I might decide, geez, this one's too light, so I'm going to paint into it again. Or I might decide that I want to add something else right off the bat and keep going with my print. So very quickly I can add. I didn't press down this area enough. Press that a little bit more. So very quickly I can start adding a structure, but I want you guys to keep going. I'm starting with a big paintbrush. This too is just so that it's consistent. So I'm going to keep adding to my design until I have filled up so that there is no plain orange bigger than the size of a quarter. And I'm going to be using smaller paintbrushes and adding tints and shades and tones to my painting. I don't think I'm going to print anymore now that I have a basis to work into, but I am going to repeat this circular pattern. Great. I might decide that this would be a good place to have some symmetry too. I did that over here, so I'm going to add it over here as well. And a little bit of the black paint was still wet. It smudged, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to use my paper towel to keep my paint neat. So I'm starting to add a lot more to this. Probably you can't even see that subtle pattern right there. Introduce my shade. And I can keep going and adding more and more fine detail. So I have a circle within a circle within a circle. The technique that I like to try is a dry brush. That is when I take the bristles of a dry paintbrush and I get a little bit of paint on them, but not too much. I can tap it off on the side of my palette here. And then I can create a pattern by dragging. So I see lines. And that can be used to create some interesting texture in your piece. I'm going to repeat that. That's the dry brush technique, where you see little lines from a dry paintbrush. One of my other favorite techniques is a sgraffito technique, which comes from the Italian verb to scratch. It sounds like graffiti because graffiti comes from the same root word. I'm painting an area. Again, I'm going to use a dark color so it shows up well. I'm going to paint in here, and to be consistent, let's see, I like those 4. I might do something a little bit different down here. So I have all blacks there. Maybe on either end, I'm going to do the same shape, but in white, and balance it up here with the white. So sgraffito means to scratch. So you can take the end of your paintbrush, popsicle stick, and scratch a design right into this. So you see, when I scratch in, you get this. Way too long, it's going to start to dry and I won't be able to do it. Okay, so there are my sgraffito. Here, and here, and here, and here. It shows up at the start, and very quickly I have a symmetrical monochromatic quilt painting. But I'm going to keep going now with the littlest, tiniest paintbrush that I can find and continue filling in until there are no spaces that are larger than a quarter. I kept going and I added some black and white around the edge. Many quilts have a border. Creating tiny dots and lines in certain areas that really add some delicacy and fine detail. So this is my finished quilt